Hey guys, Tony Hill back with you for my fourth installment, my fourth video. Thanks for being here with me. Just wanted to drop some more content to you regarding credit. This channel is everything about credit, credit cards, mortgages, auto, you name it, anything. And I'll try to do something different than a lot of the other channels instead of just credit repair, but also breaking down some financial IQ, mostly regarding credit, and then some other things too that can help you. And I want this channel to be quite different than any other channel that you may have seen, giving you some information. First of all, I just want to cover a couple things. If you like this channel, please like it. Subscribe to my channel. Share it with your family and friends and loved ones, and hopefully they can use some of this information too. And then also, please leave a comment. Tell me what you think, good or bad. I'm okay with that. I'm learning this whole YouTube thing. I think I mentioned before is new, and as I go on, I'll get better. Once again, doing this right in my kitchen. So, but I hope you like the content. I think. Piggybacking off the last video that I did, I knew, and that was the new Ultra Fico scores. I wanted to. This one was going to be about FICO scores, different versions of FICO scores, how they work, how they can help you, and then always knowing where you are with your real scores, not the other scores that don't. The scores the banks don't use. So you want to be aware of the FICO scores. Also, you stay with me to the end of this video. I'm going to drop some good knowledge on you that'll help you. Maybe some of you guys haven't had a checking account in a long time, help you get a checking account, and maybe a couple of other things. But once again, this is unscripted. So as I'm talking, things will come to me, and that's the best way for me to do my channel. I know, some of the experts say, hey, write it down and this and that. And I do sometimes, but at the end of the day, I have been doing this for 30 plus years, and I just wanted to let it come off the top of my head. So anyway, hopefully this will be one of the shorter ones I'll do, covering these things. But anyway, diving right in. There's many versions of FICO score, and I don't know if you've researched it or I want to say it's somewhere like 28 or so, something like that. But all of them, most of them you will probably never use, or I wouldn't really get into knowing all the different versions. That's unnecessary. So what I will say is that you might want to be aware of majority of them. I mean, not majority of them, but a small majority of them. So mostly the ones that you are going to be concerned with is the FICO 8, which is widely used more than anything. The newer version is 9, and actually the newest version will be a 19, which will be Ultra FICO scores, which hopefully you can watch the last video. I explained that in the last video, the Ultra FICO scores. But 8 is the mostly widely used. The only difference between 9 and 8 is 9 doesn't affect your paid off collections. That's the biggest difference between the two. So you want to make sure you're aware of that. And once again, I'll just cover Credit Karma, Sesame, some of these other sites that have free scores. Like I said, they have a lot of great tools, especially with credit card utilization, ensuring your scores, going up, stuff getting paid off. Once again, I thought you could do dispute more so on Credit Karma than you can. One item at a time. I guess one item every 30 days when it comes off. But yeah, I was disappointed in that. But what you can do, and I haven't covered this in the past, you can go to each site to dispute each and every one of the things that are negative items that are on your credit bureau, with Experian, of course, with Transunion, and with Equifax. So you can do those directly, and I'll make another video about that. But you want FICO scores. Um, so for instance, when you walk into a dealership, you want to say, okay, what FICO score are they using? Majority of those um, dealers will use FICO 8, but there are some that are going to use a different scoring. And then also, auto loan scoring lending is different FICO scores than the normal um, lender. And what do I mean by that? I mean by universally they're going to use FICO 8, but FICO lending a lot of times is a little different. So they may have a different lending. Most of the FICO lending auto dealers, they'll use a version 2, version 4. Like my credit union, they use a version, which would surprise me. They use a version 4, which is an older, in my credit union, they use an older version. The reason I know that is because I'm on FICO every day with my own scores. When I get up in the morning before I eat my breakfast, I look at my scores and make sure no one's stolen my identity and my scores are on the rise, or where they should be, or where I think they should be. So what happens is that because you may use a credit union or a different lender, they could, who knows what they use, but how you could tell is knowing the different versions. Whether it's a 4, if you go to FICO, once again, you guys know by now one of my favorite sites is Experian.com to get your FICO score. So when you go to Experian, and hopefully you've gotten a tri-merge, once again, you can get a tri-merge. I think it's $24.99 a month to keep an update on all 3 of your scores. But when you go there, they have a section on there, and you can go additional FICO scores, and they'll show you the difference between the scores: the mortgage, the auto, and the bank card score, which is like credit card scores. They call them bank cards. So all of those will be different, and some of the variations are huge. Typically with a mortgage score, your score, let's say whatever your score is now, it'll typically be higher with the mortgage score. Mortgages use a FICO score 2. Majority of them, a good portion of them use mortgage 2, FICO score mortgage 2. And that's one version of FICO score. So they'll be higher. So sometimes people go, oh, my score is not ready yet, because a lot of people are waiting to get, if you guys don't know this, most mortgage companies, they'll use what they call a middle score. They throw out the high, they throw out the high and the low, and they'll use your middle score. So let's say, for instance, you got a 710, a 665, and a 645. Well, what's your middle score? Right, the 665s. They throw out the high, they throw out the low, and you use your middle. So most lenders will give you a loan if your score is about 650. So you just figure I'll drop that information to you. So why do I cover this? So look, let's say for instance you pull your score and it's an 8. I mean, you're on FICO 8 and you trying to get a mortgage. But the thing about it is that 8 says you are 640. Well, you might run, but what you want to do, you want to go to FICO, Experian.com, and there are many other websites out there that give you actual FICO. So then you go to your mortgage lender 2, and then once again, I'm doing this because I referenced one of my clients. 640, the mortgage lending 2 is at a 672, and that's with Experian. I'm not saying that's going to be different with Equifax. I mean, it's going to be different with Equifax and Transunion. But once again, typically it works in your favor when they're using mortgage 2. Your scores are going to be a little higher. So try to get all 3 scores where you are before you apply for a mortgage and seeing where you are. But they'll typically give you a loan if you're in a 650. And auto, man, I tell you, if you go to auto, uses a version, I want to say 4, and it's several different versions. They have a 3, they have a 4, they have a 2. I mean, they're all over the place. But once again, I'm referring to the customer that I actually file I'm working on before I came on, and score is a 640, but the auto lending score is a 596. Wow, big difference. So to think about it, I would make sure that before you go get an auto loan, that you know where you are with your auto lending score, and that's why Experian.com is one of the best sites out there. That's why, and once again, I'm not an affiliate, so I don't get a penny, I don't get a dime. They're just really good at what they do. Bank cards, once again, kind of like mortgages, your bank card scores are a little higher. And they use version 2, 3, and they have a bank card 8. So it just depends on who you're applying for, and what scoring that they use. Sometimes I'll know the lender or the bank card or the mortgage company or the auto company that, what they use, what score they use. But once again, those are mostly for my clients. Also, too, you can hire me. You can send me an email at Tony@makingsenseofcredit.com. You can send me an email, and I do coaching and consulting. But this is information, this is free content, folks, for you, and hopefully that'll help you down the road. So it's a good idea to know those different FICO scores and how they work and where you are to get a more accurate picture. Also, too, with FICO that you'll see is that, let's say, for instance, that you wanted to buy a Lexus. My thing to a lot of my clients is always kind of know what they use. Some will tell you, some won't. And what I mean by that, let's say, for instance, you want to buy a Lexus. You can call a business manager and say, hey, you know what? Who does Lexus majority use their financing in? So Lexus Financial. And what bureau that they use? I know because I've been doing this a long time. They use Experian. So let's say, for instance, you do a FICO and your Experian's, 680 and your Equifax is 620 and your Transunion is 589. And people think I'm crazy when I'm giving this widespread. No, that happens because on your credit bureaus, the information is not the same. You could have different information on different bureaus depending on what they report. So believe me, that's typical. But let's say, for instance, you're waiting and you need a car, and I always say, look, and just drop this. I always say, wait till your scores are at their highest, because you're going to get a better chance to be more of a tier 1. And if you didn't know by now, most lenders, no matter what they are, they have different tiers on what kind of interest rate you're going to get. 1 through 4. If you're looking at a car, some special finance companies have 1 through 8, up in depending on what state, up to 30% interest rate. So I would say always, try to do it at its highest. But let's say you need a car and you want to buy a Lexus, you're not at a 700, but you got maybe you're a tier 2, and your scores because you sign up with Experian.com and you know the FICO system. Once again, you can get a car. But if you didn't know that and you were to look at your Credit Karma, who knows what it'll have, because those scores can vary from. I have one I'm doing now. I have a customer that's had an 80-point variance. So look, at the end of the day, know your FICO scores. But once again, your Equifax was at a 589, or your TransUnion one is at a 620. Well, guess what? Your Experian is at a 696. So if that lender uses Experian, guess what? You can be on a good tier. You can be tier 1 or 2. And once again, not saying that you should do that when all your scores are not up. But once again, if you were in that position, you could do it, still get a good tier, and be happy without panicking about that Equifax score that's at a 586, or that low score with TransUnion at a 520. Because when if you're at a 586, a 686 with Experian, that's considered a good score. So once again, you can get good financing. So once again, just wanted to tell you that. Once again, if you want me to walk you, if you want to sign up with my coaching and consulting, please go to send me an email, Tony@makingsenseofcredit.com. And then also you can call me, 612-886-5143. And you can always get in touch with me. Or if you want to leave me a message and sign up for my email, you can go to my blog at makingsenseofcredit.com. And you can see a lot of that information that I'm talking about today on there, and also some new stuff on there too. So once again, this has gone a lot longer than I expected, but once again, off the top of my head, as things come to me, I'm going to give you some hopefully good content you can use. So in closing, I'm going to shut this thing down until the next time, and I'll try to do these things as a procession of content following along one after another. But a couple things. Number one, I did mention in my ultra FICO scores about it mostly helped young people with not a lot of credit. But what I didn't say, and I want to apologize to you guys, is that, look, if you got a good history, it's going to help you. If you got a good banking record and you don't your account's not in the negative, you got $400 or more, they can help you too. Regular FICO scores or ultra FICO scores. But once again, this ultra FICO scores is something you're going to opt into. But yeah, so if you got a good FICO score and you take care of your business and you got a good bank account, once again, it could even help you more. Once again, that's just my 2 cents. But in closing, I was talking to you about a lot of you guys haven't had a checking account for 2, 3, 4. Some people, clients I talk to, has been 8 to 10 years. Well, stop it. Look, here's what you need. Here's what you can do. Go to ChexSystems.com and you can order your ChexSystems report. Most people don't know that they have a report. Get that report, and then once again, when you take a look at it, if it's clear, then it's time for you. You can get off these net spends and Chime and all these other places, these prepaid cards. Go out and get a checking account. So you can do that. Once you get the report and it's clear, if it comes back and it still has those accounts that you ran into trouble with, then you can apply. But typically, ChexSystems are going to only keep that information on your report with ChexSystems, not your credit bureau, up to 2 years. 2 years after that, it's gone. And my only advice would be, do not go back to the same bank the account that you messed up or you had a mishap with. Go to a different bank. Okay. So once again, I wanted to drop that. Thanks for staying with me to the end. Hopefully, it was some good information that you could use. Once again, like this video, share it, make a comment, and most of all, subscribe to my channel. Until next time, Tony Hill signing out. Peace, y'all.